Greetings and salutations. How's everybody doing today? I've been kind of MIA for a while. I'm going to go through and give you guys a real life update about myself. Something I've never really done on this channel before. I'm trying not to do this kind of stuff on my channels. Say I don't really want this to get very personal, even though I do want a connection to exist between me and my viewers. I just don't want this to become a channel where I just unload personal stuff on you guys all the time. That's not what I want. Doesn't seem entertaining to me, but at the same time, I think from time to time it's probably due. Say a lot of viewers like to know what's going on with the creators that they like to watch, which is totally understandable. I totally get it. There's a lot of different real life stuff that a lot of creators have gone through that I've been interested in, so I can understand. And I've been going through some stuff here recently, so I think it kind of deserves a little story time, I guess you could say. Maybe that'll be a good title for it, is story time number 1. Real life issues. Dun dun dun. I don't have a sloth to make that noise for me. It would be nice if I had a sloth to make that noise for me. I'm getting distracted. So the big question is, where have I been for the past couple months? And the short and easy answer is that I've been here at home, kind of hanging out and getting some rest, taking care of the family, making sure the kid gets a good birthday party. Kid's birthday was in July. My birthday was July 6th. And then my anniversary for my wedding anniversary is also in July. So July is a busy month for me. We had a lot going on, so it kind of worked out pretty well. So I decided to take a break, and we had a lot of extra stuff to do. So it's fun. As a matter of fact, today the wife and the kid are off at the last birthday party. It is a kid from her classroom that invited her to a birthday before school ended. So she's been real excited, and they're going to have a lot of fun. They went over to the skating rink. So I don't know how to skate. I don't know how to rollerblade. I always end up on my butt, and that's just how it goes. And I don't skateboard either, even though I was a skater back in the day, right? I always wore skate clothes. Jinkos were my fucking jam, yo. Jinkos were the bomb. If you can't tell, that's what that sign is back there. That's a Jinko jeans sign, directly from, I'd say the early 2000s. It actually came from a department store here in the town where I live. A friend, her mother was working at the department store where they were selling Jinko jeans, and the company started going out of business, and so they got rid of a lot of the signs, and she knew we were big Jinko jeans fans, so she snagged that sign and brought it home, and then they gave it to me because they knew how much I love Jinko jeans. In fact, that's what this hat is made out of, is also Jinko jeans. So Jinko jeans, if you ever see this, hey, I'd love to wear a brand new pair of kangaroos again. Yeah, right. They're never going to see this. Are you kidding me? You're silly. No, you're silly. No way. You're silly. Hold on. I gotta drink some coffee, and then we'll get on to the next part here. There's a lot of things in life that bother people. And I can understand that. Everybody's got their own list of things that really bothered them. Maybe a past relationship, or maybe stuff that happened between you and your parents, or things that happen between you and a sibling, or there's a lot of stuff. The range of stuff that I usually experience is usually self-inflicted. So I'm one of those overthinkers. usually thinking too deep, thinking too hard, thinking too long, thinking too negative. That's usually a good one for me too. And in recent years, I've just gotten more and more cynical as I get older, which is not a great help. But all of those traits are traits that I am aware of, which is half the battle. A lot of a lot of people get caught into ruts and get caught into different habits or kind of like personality moods where they get stuck in a depression or in a sadness and they just don't know how to get out.
Help me, Sharon! Help me!
Sometimes in those situations we can be very self-aware of what's going on, and in other times we are very much in denial and we don't really see what's going on at all. And the times that we don't see what's going on, those are pretty extreme times. Those are the times that friends need to step in and try to, pat on the back and be there for the person as much as they possibly can. At least until the person becomes self-aware enough that they know that help is needed and they need to search it out. But one thing I've always had in my favor, and I've been very, very grateful for, is the ability to take a step back and see what I'm doing. Sometimes it really sucks to see that because I can usually see myself acting like a fool really quick, and then I start beating myself up for it, which is no good. But that's also one of those weird habits that you got to be self-aware of. That way you can step in and stop yourself from doing that kind of thing. So that, yeah. And in my teenage years, I went through some depression here and there. I had a lot of different struggles throughout school. Had different interactions with drugs and alcohol, and I wasn't necessarily a bad boy, but I definitely was not in the good boy group, I guess you could say. I definitely went to a lot of parties, and to an extent, the parties serve their purpose, especially growing up. You learn a lot of different lessons at different parties and stuff. I'm not saying doing drugs and alcohol is a good idea, because it's not. It's not a good idea. It's never a good idea. Ever, 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 ever. But I understand life happens. And no matter what kind of life you're living in, always take the opportunity to try to learn life's lessons in every situation it throws at you. Because sometimes the shit's unavoidable. Sometimes it's very avoidable. Sometimes you step right in it and you have no idea what that smell is until it's up to your knees. That's kind of the short version of the first, 35 years of my life. So what happened recently? There was a time after I moved back from Dallas that I was extremely motivated. I had a lot of ideas. I had a lot of motivations going on inside of my mind. I moved back here, started helping my grandfather run our his automotive shop, which is a frame and alignment shop. So we work on vehicles and a lot of oil field type trucks and that kind of thing. We even worked on oil rigs, even out in the field where they're drilling. Very interesting, very, very, very positive experience. I learned a lot. And I learned a lot from my grandfather and my father. At the same time, while also helping at the family business, I also had a lot of motivation to be an author. And so I spent a good portion of 10 to 12 years writing short stories and novels and trying to get them published and get them put together. And that in itself came across a huge roadblock. Say that the author story of my life probably deserves its own video. So who knows? Maybe if this video gets a crazy response, then I'll go through and I'll make a video talking about the different stories that I used to write, which I still hold a lot of regrets for that, for those decisions. Like I said, that's a pretty deep well, so we're gonna move that past that one pretty fast. But I do want to emphasize that that I had a lot of motivations. I mean, I had a lot of ideas and a lot of energy to go out and try to further myself as an author in the world. And I didn't do terrible. I mean, I didn't do great. I didn't get any novels sold or anything like that. I know a couple people who did, and they did an excellent job. So I'd gladly talk about them as well. I got some short stories published here and there. You know, nothing special. Actually, they're all pretty special. It's a pretty awesome feeling to get published, even if it is a short story. But again, moving on. So I had a lot of motivations. I had a lot of drive to go ahead and find some success. And then I hit a lot of brick walls. And then with the brick walls came a bunch of self-doubt. And then eventually I was just treading water. I was floundering. I would go back to my room at night and I would try to write, and it would be an exercise in futility. I would sit there and just kind of talk down to myself most of the time until I finally got tired of it and realized I need to step away from the writing. And so I did. I took a break from that, and then I kind of focused on trying to help the family run the business for a while. And that kind of went well for a little bit. My grandfather is very old school. He opened the shop back in the 70s. So it's been around for 45 plus years. And he opened it himself. It was him and several other people that started helping him do work inside of a smaller shop somewhere else in town. And then once they got enough business, they upgraded to the shop that they were in now. But he's old school. He's used to getting in there and doing the work and turning the wrenches. And I mean, you're talking about a guy that towards the end of the shop's run, he was pushing 80 years old and still climbing underneath vehicles to change stuff, to do things. Like, he's still very active. Like, it's crazy. He's a very strong individual. So there's no telling when he's gonna go. I kind of think he's just kind of gonna drop off one day. There's not gonna be any notice or anything. I don't think he's gonna get sick. He's just too stubborn. He's he's stubborn. He's a good old man. He's great. He's done a lot of good things for the community. He's helped a lot of people over the years. Helped a lot of people driving through in motorhomes and travel trailers, broken axles, broken on the side of the road, have to get towed back or have an axle replaced on the side of the road out in the middle of nowhere. There's lots of stuff. Lots of things that he's helped a lot of people. So there towards the end of the shop, naturally he wanted to take some time off. So, as kind of a safeguard, I would usually stay in town and I would help run the shop in those times that he decided to leave town to go see family, or if him and his wife had something they wanted to do. maybe a road trip in their motorhome, or maybe they wanted to go camping up in the mountains in Colorado or something like that. But so eventually, over time, I kind of learned the ins and outs of the shop, um, learned how to run the office, learned how to order parts, run the front counter. Even as a teenager, I was doing work underneath the trucks and cars, so I already had some mechanical experience and hands-on knowledge. We even had a leaf spring shop that's attached to our main shop, and so I learned how to make U-bolts for leaf springs. I know how to temper steel. I know how to arch springs to go back underneath trucks. So there's tons of stuff that I know how to do. Wasn't all it wasn't all that fun. Say I couldn't really say that it would be my job of choice. It was very physical, especially working in the shop that we did, because we did a lot of oil filled stuff. So there's a lot of heavy duty things. Not like little leaf springs. I'm talking about leaf spring packs that are, I mean, this thick, and each leaf is half an inch thick steel. So, I mean, you're talking about leaf springs that are 350, 400 pounds. It takes two guys to muscle them back into the truck. And that's just on one side. Eventually, we got to where we use a cherry picker and things and blah, blah, blah. But, so one of the things that happened over time, um, helping out throughout the shop, giving a hand here and there, I started noticing different things. So I started noticing different ways that we could, cut back on cost, or eventually we changed out the paper system that we were using, which was a carbon copy paper system for invoicing, and I talked my grandparents into letting me put in a computer system with a computer program so that we didn't have to have carbon copies anymore, which saved quite a bit on paperwork and that kind of thing. And it also helped us keep track of things. So over time, I was starting to kind of go through and kind of update the shop and get it more digital. There was a lot of redundancies that were taking place that didn't necessarily have to be there. But again, that was kind of a moment where we kind of butted heads. My grandfather was used to doing things in a very old school way, and I was used to trying to update things, especially after coming back from Dallas and working at different jobs where everything is very digital and kind of streamlined. Everybody focuses on efficiency and that kind of thing. And the shop never really did. It was more of a buddy kind of system, which, like I said, it kind of fits in with the older school way of thinking and doing business from like the 40s and 50s. You pat my back, I'll pat yours, and that kind of thing. Which isn't, like I said, it isn't bad. It worked really well for him for a long time. um, the downside is that it was starting to lose its efficiency. Um, and there was a number of things that were going wrong with the shop that don't need mentioning. Say it was a accumulation of a lot of different issues and reasons that kind of piled together, and then that's kind of what broke the camel's back. Um, oh, what's a good analogy for it? Like for a time, and I definitely didn't mind being used in this way. Like I said, anytime my grandfather wanted to take off or go out of town, he could always rely on me to stick around at the shop and make sure to keep things running. Talk to the customers and get things lined out, do invoicing and estimates and that kind of thing. But it was a bit like it was almost as if the shop was a horse. And anytime my grandfather wanted to leave town, he would hand me the reins and say, "Here, take care of this horse for the next couple days. The food is over there in the barn. All you have to do is feed him twice a day. Make sure he doesn't get out of the stall, and make sure he has enough water. And he's a fairly tame horse. He'll stay here. He'll do exactly what he's supposed to do. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about anything else." And then my grandfather would go ahead and leave town. I would watch the horse. The horse would do exactly what it was supposed to do. The horse would eat the food I gave it, drink the water I gave it. It was never rambunctious or too crazy. And I'd check on it once in a while, and things never changed. He'd come back in a few days. I would hand the reins back to him, and that would be it. Business as usual from that point on. So after a while, like, I hope this sounds right. After a while, it kind of felt like I'd plateaued. I wasn't learning anything, and I wasn't trying anything new either. I was watching the horse, but it didn't teach me anything because it wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. And I wasn't learning anything because I wasn't trying to do new things. And I think I finally got to that point at the shop where I was having a hard time understanding why we couldn't try to change things here and there to make things more efficient. Or to try new, I don't know, did that come out right? I wasn't learning anything from the horse. I wasn't learning anything from him handing me the reins. I mean, he was just handing me the reins. It wasn't a list of, like, it wasn't a list of instructions, but he gave me instructions. So I don't know if that necessarily works either. Am I making sense, or am I just talking in circles? The past few years that the shop was in operation, I could feel it going down. We could look at the books, and I could see the debt going up and the profits coming down. Saying it was, I don't know. It was one of those situations where I'm not sure if anything that I brainstormed could even help, because I never got a chance to try to implement it into the business. I don't even know if I was on the right track, ultimately. I mean, and that kind of where, I don't know, is where everything not started, but definitely increased inside of my head. Because the less and less that I was able to try at the shop, the less and less I felt that I was capable of even watching over the shop. I mean, it was like going back to the horse analogy, is if I had done some research and been like, hey, I found this other food that these people have these proven results that show that if you feed your horses this, that it increases their nutrition by this much percentage. But then I wouldn't be allowed to try it. So then all I had was the stuff in front of me with my research, and no actual experience in what it actually does to horses. So, was it worth even researching if I never get to actually try anything? So, and then I don't know. Like I said, and that's where I really started feeling, I guess neglected is a good word. Um, I just felt ignored. And the more I felt ignored, the more I felt that the more I questioned my actions, the more I questioned my choices, until finally I was convinced that I didn't know any of the right choices anymore. I didn't know how to take care of the horse. I didn't know how to watch over the stall or make sure that the horse was fed on time. I was bound to fail because I don't know. And then that's a bad habit, or that's a bad train of thought to get into too. And that's where my deep thinking and overthinking definitely plays against me. Because once I started questioning my thoughts and questioning my choices, and it just got even worse, and I questioned everything that I did. And it was bad. It was bad. It got to the point to where I hated going down to that shop because I felt like I didn't know anything anymore. And not a good portion of that was from my own head. Say my grandfather gave me an opportunity, and at the same time I also feel like I squandered it, and I didn't perform. I definitely didn't live up to what I was supposed to do. But I know that's only partly in my head. I know not all the fault. I don't know. Fault is the wrong word to use. The more and more I questioned myself, the more and more I was just talking myself out of my ability to be able to run the shop with any certain capacity. That's probably the reality of it. Am I regretful? Yes. Oh, yeah. I wish I would have done more. I wish I would have been stronger. I wish I would have put my foot down a little bit more. I wish I would have used better words. Um, but those are all things that I wish I would have done, and I don't. There's no way to change it now, which I understand that too. And so, over time, the shop fell. Um, 2022, February 2022. That was the last month that the shop was in operation. My grandfather still owns the building. He still owns, well, he doesn't own the equipment inside anymore. It all belongs to another company. But he still owns the land, and so he actually sold or he leased the building to another company, so they came in and kind of took over the books and kind of bought him out, which is good. He's been needing to do that for a long time. Like I said, he's 80 years old and still crawling underneath vehicles, and nobody in the family likes seeing him do that, dude. They need to retire, that way they can go in their motor home and be happy, and now they're old enough now they can't do a lot of traveling. Like he should have retired 10 years ago. Like he held on for a long time because he wanted people like me or my dad to have something to work at after he retired. But I mean, in the end, he shouldn't have held on for so long. He should have retired a long time ago, even if that meant selling out and taking a big cut from the property and that kind of thing. But I mean, he deserves so much more from his retirement than what he's getting at the moment. Even though he is getting some retirement, he's getting some rest and relaxation. But like I said, now they're kind of homebound. So they can't really do a lot of traveling. They still do some, especially if they can drive during the day. But yeah, and then there's family that's in town, hanging out with them pretty much all the time. Um, But me, on the other hand, since February of 2022, say I hit a really bad pitted depression. I had an opportunity to go ahead and transfer over to the new business that took over the building, but I I declined. I was like, no, no, it's my time to walk away. I mean, I was showing up later and later to work. Say I wasn't interested. The customers would show up, and everything would just aggravate me. And it was just not a good place for me to be. And it was not a good thing for customers to see. Like it just wouldn't have worked. I would have made a lot of people mad if I'd stuck around. And so I didn't. I took my last day on February 28th, 2022, and went home and and tried to look for a job from there. I wasn't sure what to look for. I was only half-heartedly really looking for jobs. I really wanted to try to find some online that I could sit in front of the computer and talk to people, maybe fill out insurance paperwork or something monotonous and redundant that nobody else liked to do. Um, I never I never could find a job or get a good interview in. A lot of it, like I said, had to do with how just cynical and depressed I was. I say I was just. I remember in an interview, somebody asked me if I would what my punctual or how punctual I was as far as like being on time for work, and I told them straight up. I was like, I really suck at showing up on time. Like I was so just gone, just depressed. I didn't want to be part of the world anymore. I didn't want to be part of humanity. I didn't want to be part of the group. It was rough. And at the same time, the financial situation wasn't, it was, that was weird. At one point, I tried messing with the stock market, and towards the beginning of COVID, I made a little bit of money, and then I lost it all. And then the shop closed. And then one after another, I just slowly sold everything out, closed everything down, took all the money out of the saving accounts. You know, sat around in my pitted depression. The only thing that held me on, or that kept me going at that point, was making YouTube videos. So once I quit the shop, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna make YouTube videos while I search for a job. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do until I find a job. And then I did that, and I did that, and I did that, and I did that, and we are what, 400 videos in, something like that. The reality is that making the videos was just that last thread, that last connection with the world. My wife and my daughter did an excellent job. They definitely, she's a very, very caring woman. Try not to cry. So, so I kept on making YouTube videos. And didn't do do too bad. I actually like creating the YouTube videos, getting all the different scenes together, getting all the different clips together, brainstorming the different ideas while you're, editing stuff. It's fun. Um, I mean, as a creator, I would like to do more recording and less editing because it's so time consuming and it takes me forever to do keyframing and that kind of thing. You know, but that's uh, that's in the future. Especially if anything takes off. Which, who knows? I mean, at this point, I'm not setting my sights on getting a successful YouTube channel together. I might end up getting there. Who knows? I just don't. I just don't know. The reality is that I would love to have a successful YouTube channel. I think that would be awesome to be able to brainstorm ideas and come up with videos that people love. The reason that I disappeared here this last 30 days is because I started second guessing myself again. Started second guessing what people wanted, what people liked, what was even worth making. And that's a hard thing to do on YouTube. But I'm going to keep going. I threw my hat in with my author stuff, so I kind of gave up on writing. And anytime I look back and try to revisit writing stories again, I always meet the same brick wall that I have had up for a long time now. Making YouTube videos, I didn't find a brick wall. I came back. So, we're going to make videos again. And it's going to be great. Been recording for for over 40 minutes. This is going to be a long video. I apologize for the long video. Shut up, phone. I apologize for the long video. I know this has kind of been ranty, but it would be good for me too. It'd be good for me to edit this and get it out. Even though it is some personal stuff, I didn't use any names or nothing, so you know. I do have another video that I want to put together here in the near future. Kind of go with my Terramahanophobia type of video things. I want to do another video on the fear of confrontation. Because that's definitely been another struggle that I've had here recently, is the neighbor dog next door likes to attack the fence anytime I'm in the backyard, and he's been doing it for years. And I went through a bunch of anxiety with that too. And like, I'm getting my bravery back. It sounds silly, and especially for as old as I am. I mean, I've just had my 37th birthday. So yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. And the way the dog acts is crazy. And I'll go over that in a different video. Yeah. Yeah. Fear of confrontation. Be great. So, I don't know. What do I want to leave you guys with? I know there's... I don't know. I kind of unloaded. I kind of expanded on a bunch of stuff I thought I was going to go over really quick, and now I thought I was going to spend more time on, the depression from the last 30 days. I didn't do a lot the last 30 days. I actually just played a lot of Minecraft, some Pixelmon. I tried the new Cobblemon mod pack. I actually am going to let my daughter help me out with that. I'm going to let her choose all the Pokemon that I use or that I capture in that one. So I might even post videos with that, because that'll be fun to do. She just turned 6. But she helped me pick out a starter Pokemon for the Cobblemon mod pack, and it was Rowlet. So we got Rowlet to start with. And I found a village. Now I got to get an Ire farm together so I can start making Pokeballs and that kind of thing. But so yeah. If you stuck around with me this long, thank you very much for sticking around. If you're subscribed to my main channel here, Mr. Grumbly, be sure to check out my second channel, Gaming with Mr. Grumbly. If you're subscribed to my gaming channel, Gaming with Mr. Grumbly, and you came over here searching for the lowdown on why I've been missing for the past 30 days, you can subscribe to my first channel, Mr. Grumbly, That's what I was going to say. I know what I was going to say. I swear. I swears it. But that's about it. If you're out there and you're feeling depressed, feeling like you're not making the right choices, or feeling like you're second guessing everything that you do, take heart and know that you're not alone. And and try not to second guess yourself. I'm not going to say stop it, because I know how hard it is to stop that kind of thought process. It takes a lot, and take some help. And so don't be scared to ask for help either. I know the way that I've gone about my depression is not ideal. People should not take on their depression alone. A lot of people, it does a lot more good than you think to go to a therapist and just talk like this. Just talk about this. Talk. Bounce stuff back and forth. That's all. That's what you need. You need to be able to let it out, verbalize what's going through your head, and it'll help you hold everything under a microscope, sort of say. Give you the ability to take a step back and observe yourself and what you're doing for what it's actually valued as. I mean, that way you're not pulling the blindfold over your eyes and trying to justify a bad habit and telling yourself it's a good one. It's like, because you know better. You know what's bad habits, and you know what are good habits. And the only person that's going to change it is you. But you may need some help, and that's okay too. I don't know. I'm also scared about therapists and drugs. I don't want them to give me lots of drugs. But I'm also scared to tell people what's inside of my mind a lot of times, because I don't want to scare people away or make them think that I'm just some crazy person, who can't even control their thought process. Because that's not the case at all. I can totally control my thought process, just not all the time. But that's the way it is with everybody. You put anybody in an extreme enough situation, guaranteed that everybody loses it. That's what makes us human. We're frail. As strong as we think we are frail creatures. Especially nowadays. Especially, a lot of us are kind of on that edge of falling apart at the drop of a pin. It's like that scene in Family Guy, which in turn is parodying a scene from, what is it? Is it River Runs Through It? Is it River Runs Through It? It's not your fault, man. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You know the one I'm talking about, right? That one? Is it River Runs Through It? No, I can't tell. Or is it, no, it's Will. Damn it. What's the name of that movie? Tell me in the comments. Tell me. All right. I've been recording for almost 50 minutes now. I need to go ahead and quit, because I did a lot of talking. So that's good. We'll just do a lot of raw clips, a lot of raw cuts. Cut. That's what we'll do. Okay. But yeah, so as far as where I've been for the past 30 days, like I said, I've been right here. Hanging out, chilling, putting myself back together, kind of keeping things in perspective. We're moving on. We're going to start making videos again. I'm going to start actively looking for a job in real life here in town, and also online, to see if maybe there's a place that I can get an online job for automotive suggestions, or maybe part lookup person, part counter. That's what I'm trying to get a part or job at here in town is at a parts store, an automotive parts store, so I can work at the front counter. You know, work on the computer, look up them parts for everybody. Just get me the last date of your VIN number and I can look it up. Yeah. Give me your make and model, and that's at your own risk. One thing to always keep in mind, no matter what happens to you in life, no matter how depressed you get, if you can just hold one thing in mind, just one thing in mind that will help you start to crawl back out, is you're not alone. You're never alone. Even when you feel like all the choices are wrong and you've got no place to go, you're not alone. A lot of us get lost in that same way, and a lot of us need help. And that's okay. So, take heart. Hell, if you need to, leave a message in the comments and I'll message back. I'm here all the time. I'm usually pretty bored, lonely too. Not really lonely nowadays. I've got my wife and my kiddo. I have a teenage daughter. She lives in Arizona. And so she's awesome too. Dude, she's got a crazy voice. You want to hear some good singing. Oh my. Like, I'm not even kidding. Her mom was a opera singer, and she definitely inherited some lungs, because ooh man, that girl can sing. And not just like R&B pop sing, like she hit some notes, dude. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be really interesting to see where her life goes, because she's got some crazy vocal talent. It'd be interesting. She'll do good no matter what. She just didn't need a lot of pressure on herself, and man, there's no telling where she could end up. Okay, well, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Everybody, have a wonderful time. Thanks for sticking around for all this time. I appreciate all the views. I appreciate all the comments. So you guys are awesome. I think you're gonna see a lot more of me in a natural way. I think up until this point, I haven't been very natural. Kinda natural. Kinda not natural. Anywho, it's almost 2 o'clock. I don't know how soon the girls are coming home from a birthday party, so I better go. This is like the third or fourth time I've tried to wrap it up. Excellent job, Mr. Grumbly. I kind of want to do what Cinnamon Toast Ken does, but I don't want to be a copycat either. Hell, why not? If it's your birthday, happy birthday. Remember, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. See ya.